you're playing a game, and there is one guy that you have to stop, and you and your teammates do everything possible to stop him, and he still is not stopped.
It makes him the GOAT.
That makes him the GOAT, yeah.
So when he was facing the bad boy Pistons, like, how were they able to stop him?
Well, it was something that he didn't do. So the first 2 years that he faced them was 89 and 90. And they literally beat him up. They physically beat him up. And after the second time they lost, he hit the weight room.
Jordan did.
Yes.
So he wasn't big back then or strong?
He was not strong. He was not the physical specimen that he was during the championship run. So what he did was he hit the weight room. And he bulked up so that he could take the punishment, and he asked his teammates to do the same.
Yeah. And so
because
I guess
that's Detroit beat him. They just beat him up. That's it.
Yeah, that's the only way they could stop him, other than beating him up. Like he was tearing him up.
That's what they did. When he got into the lane, when he hit the paint, you had to, the Pistons had to knock him down. That was their strategy. If he got to the paint, knock him down. Period.
Yeah. And who was on the Pistons team? I know you had Isaiah. Then you had Lambeer. Was
Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars, Dennis Rodman, John Sally, Rick Mahorn, Bill Lambeer, Vinnie Johnson. And their sole responsibility was, when he got in the lane, knock him to the floor.
So outside of that, were they a good team? Like outside of the bullying and the hard play, was the Pistons a good team at that time?
They were a very good team because they played together. You know, they didn't have, I mean, Isaiah, you could call him a superstar.
Yeah.
Dumars, the other guys all played their role, and they played their role very well. You know, they knew what their responsibilities were, and they handled them.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So after he was able to bulk up, and after, I guess after he was able to bulk up, when he played him again, I mean, when was the first time he beat him in the playoffs?
In the 91 season.
91 season. So he was facing them prior to and just couldn't get past the Pistons at all? No.
Nope. Because the minute you play a game and someone physically beats you up, that's what you're concerned with, right?
Yeah.
So that removes that mental aspect. Your focus and concentration isn't on making the shot, it's on defending yourself. So if you think you're going to get hit, you defend yourself and you don't finish. Well, when you change physically and you know you're able to take that punishment, you then change what you do mentally. The game is 75, 80% mental.
Mental, yeah. Yeah. So after he was able to bulk up and beat the Pistons, that first year, that was when he won his first championship.
Yeah, 91.
Yeah, 91. And then obviously he won 3, took 2 years off, came back and then won 3 more.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did you feel when he took that first retirement? Like, did you think he was going to come back as a fan? Like, what was going through your mind at that time?
Obviously there was a lot of speculation swirling around that the NBA actually asked him to step away because of his gambling habits.
I've heard that narrative, yeah.
There was a lot of speculation around that. I don't know which way it was, what the truth was, but I was very disappointed because he was in the prime of his career, and for him to make the decision to step away from the game because he thought he had nothing else to prove, it left all of us, the fans, feeling a little shortchanged. I can remember the only thing that I wanted to be able to do was to take you to a game to be able to see him live, so that you would always have that memory.
Yeah. We weren't able to do that, obviously, in the Chicago jersey.
Right.
Yeah. Even when he came to Atlanta, we never went to a game.
Well, I did, but you were too little to have a memory.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, by the time he came back the second time, which was in '96, you were only 4.
4, yeah.
So you wouldn't have remembered.
Yeah. So you said he came. So when he came back, was it a shock? Like, obviously it shocked the world, but how was it? What was the energy like?
It was very high, and the expectations were very high, but he wasn't physically ready when he came back. You know, playing baseball is much different than going up and down the court 90 feet every night for 60 minutes. It's not the same thing.
So those 2 years he took off, was that the same year that Patrick Ewing missed that layup in the finals? Do you remember that?
Yep. It
was one of those years?
Yeah. Yeah, they lost to Houston.
And it was really just that airball layup that he had, wasn't it?
Well, he back rimmed it. It hit the back of the rim and bounced out. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of embarrassing. I saw that clip. I didn't know. I think I was watching something where it was when Jordan wasn't in the league, and it was like the window between Houston winning it and there was another team that was pretty good, but it was just those teams that could have won those 2 years. But once Jordan came back, they said that was it.
Yeah.
Because they said Jordan was the person that they had to beat, and once he left, you know, the window was open, obviously.
Yeah, and Houston won those 2 years he was gone.
Oh, back to back?
Back to back.
Who was on that Houston team? Charles Barkley? Was he at Phoenix?
No, Barkley does not have an NBA title.
Oh, that's right. True.
So it was Olajuwon. Jeez, I'm trying to remember. Kenny Smith was on that team.
Okay.
I think Mario Elie was on that team. Clyde Drexler may have been on one of those teams.
Wasn't he on Portland?
Yeah, that's where he started, but I think he ended up going to Houston and playing with Olajuwon at least one of those years.
Yeah. So when he came back, he said he wasn't in shape, but he ended up winning the finals that year.
No, they were eliminated in '95.
Oh, okay. So the following year.
Yep.
Okay. And then he won. Like, did he have that same team? Like, as far as when he won those first 3 championships, when he came back for those next 3, what was the team difference? Like, who was on the roster?
Let's see. So they had different centers. Cartwright was gone, and I don't. You're asking me to really stretch my memory now.
Well, I got my laptop.
I think Horace Grant may have been gone by that time. I think he was down in Orlando then. John Paxson was gone, but Steve Kerr stepped in.
When did Rodman show up?
Rodman showed up the second, so the 96-97 season. Rodman showed up, I think, because I think he played the latter half of that 96-97 season, and then the 97-98 season. I think that's right.
Did you think he was going to win 3, like a 3-peat when he came back?
When he came back?
Yeah. It was hard.
You're probably asking me that. That's a very biased question to ask me, because I never thought he would have lost.
Right. Yeah. So when he took that break, those 2 years break, did the world know he had a gambling situation, or was that more so like just NBA talk? And
no, it was speculated. There were multiple reports about it. Guys were coming out with checks that he had written to them for hundreds of thousands of dollars. So
yeah,
there was speculation, but the league denied it. But it's kind of hard to tell. His father died at the end of that '93 season, and there was always it was so random. His father I think he was in North Carolina, and he apparently stopped at a rest stop and took a nap and was carjacked, essentially.
And he took his life and took his car. That's messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough. Definitely tough. And so after he came back and three-peated, when did he retire for the second time? Was it after that third championship?
It was.
Or is it his sixth one against Utah?
Yeah.
Did Jordan, to me, we're going to talk about LeBron too, but not yet. But I'm saying LeBron destroyed a lot of teams his 8 years to the finals. Did Jordan kind of dismantle teams when he was winning those back-to-back finals? Like, for example, like LeBron kind of destroyed the Indiana Pacers team. Like, they couldn't beat them, so we're going to rebuild. Like, did Jordan do the same thing to teams?
Yeah, the Knicks couldn't do anything. The Pacers, they couldn't do anything. Those were the Pistons. They were destroyed after they won their first championship, Chicago's first championship. They were destroyed. The Jazz, because they lost twice in a row.
Oh, they played them twice in finals 2 years in a row?
97 and 98. Yeah.
Okay. And that's why Karl Malone doesn't have a championship.
Exactly. That's why a lot of guys in that era don't have championships, because Michael got 6.
Damn. Yeah. So after he retired that 6th one, I mean, obviously we know now he came back, but was there any speculation he was going to come back after that second retirement?
No.
People thought he was done?
Yeah.
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 So why did he come back? I mean, my perspective, it looks like that he was managing or running the Wizards, and they said he was tired of them losing, and he was like, I'm just going to get on the court and kind of show you guys how it's done.
That's exactly what happened. It's exactly what happened. Yeah.
Was he old at the time? He was like 38, 37, 36, something like that, right?
He was older. Yeah, I don't know what you want to consider old, but he was older at the time. He was born in 62, I think. So what's that make him by the time he comes back? And you're old enough to go to the game.
What year was that? 2000?
It was before that, I think.
So if anything, he was born in 62, then if he was before 2000, he was under.
So he was 37, 38. And, for a guy who played, with the exception of those 18 or so months he took off in that during the baseball time, he was going to the finals every year.
Yeah.
So he was playing a lot of basketball.
Right. So he comes back as a Wizard. What's the buzz like? Do people kind of like doubting him? He's not going to be that good? Or, yeah. Absolutely. Was he bad or was he good? Like, how was it?
For my standards, and knowing that as you get older, your skills do diminish, I wasn't disappointed when he came back. I got what I expected.
Yeah.
A guy who had lost his legs, but still mentally knew how to play and was still mentally tougher than 80% of the players in the league.
True. Yeah. And what are you going to do, like, 2 years there? 2 or 3 years?
I think he only did a couple years there. Yeah.
What made him ultimately retire after that? What was...
he just got old.
It was his time? Yeah.
It was time. Yeah.
So let's say he didn't take those 2 years off between his three-peats. Would he have 8 in a row?
I have often wondered that. You've got other personnel moves that you have to consider, so it's hard to say. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Boy, they were tough to beat. When he left 93, they were very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Okay. All right, so let's move on. So when Kobe came into the league and he started making a name for himself, when did the comparisons with Kobe and Jordan start coming in? Or did they ever come in? Or was that just a...
They were immediate.
Oh, as soon as Kobe came in?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did he live up to in your standards, did he live up to the hype? Kobe?
I have a lot of respect for Kobe. I can't say that I watched as many games as I did Jordan because I was never a Kobe fan. Mm-hmm. That being said, I don't know that in my lifetime or in many people's lifetime that there will ever be anyone as dominant as Michael was. I just, the league, the thing that's changed now is that you have a lot of guys who come into the league very young after a year in college, if they go to college for that long. Mm-hmm. In the 80s and 90s, guys weren't doing that. So they had time to mature, grow as a player, as a man. And it was a lot more physical then as well.
Just because of like the rules and stuff.
You could get away with a lot more then than you can now.
Right.
So I say all that to say this. I think the league today is missing skill sets. There's a ton of guys with athletic ability, but they haven't learned how to play the game yet. They know how to run up and down the court, but that's a small part of it. Like I said before, that's 20% of it. Yeah. You have to understand what it takes to survive 82 games in an NBA season, 82 games plus when you get into the playoffs. Yeah. It's difficult.
There was a quote. Was it Wilt Chamberlain? I don't know. I want to say it was Wilt. But he said the NBA changed the rules so he couldn't dominate. But for Jordan, he said the NBA changed the rules so Jordan could dominate. Does that make any sense? I want to say it was Wilt.
Yeah, I think they took dunking out of the league when Wilt was playing.
That's crazy. Just because he was just bullying and just taking over the game?
No, you had never seen a guy that large. Wilt was 7'1", 7'2", I think, and he had a huge wingspan. And he was quick, agile. There wasn't a guy at that time who was doing that. So if he got within an arm's reach of the basket, he was dunking it, period.
Yeah. So that 100 points doesn't even sound that crazy, the fact that he was so physical.
And it's not physical. It's not like he was bullying people. He wasn't Shaq.
Okay.
He was slender and athletic and extremely tall, and he wasn't awkward at all. Jabbar, when he was in high school, was doing the same kind of thing. He was extremely dominant, and he wasn't big, even throughout his career. Shaq is an anomaly. But
that's crazy.
Jabbar developed one of the most interesting and difficult shots to master, the skyhook, because he wasn't allowed to dunk the ball anymore. So when he went to UCLA, he couldn't dunk. They weren't allowed to. So that's the weapon he developed. And Jabbar would, late in the game, if you needed a bucket, if the Lakers needed a bucket, it went into the post, and Jabbar put that skyhook on you. And that was it.
Guaranteed every time?
Yep. He rarely missed that hook shot. and nobody could block it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, speaking of Shaq, wait, I ask you this question all the time. Like, would Kobe have those first 3 rings without Shaq? And would Shaq have rings without Kobe?
I think they both would have gotten rings without the other. The question is, would either of them have done or had been as successful as they were if it were not for Phil Jackson? Because managing egos of grown men is not an easy thing.
Right.
Anybody who manages people right now will tell you managing egos of adults is not easy. And when you have 12 alpha males on a basketball team and everybody wants the ball because everybody believes they're the best person on the floor, you know, that's a little difficult to do.
Yeah. But people thought he was better than Shaq. Because, I mean, I'm watching these Shaq. I mean, I try not to just watch highlights. I try to, like, watch actual games. And it was like Shaq was just moving people out the way.
Yeah. 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 If Shaq was probably better suited for the NBA in the 80s because he was so physical. Yeah, he was so physical.
Yeah. Are there any centers right now like Shaq? I don't think so. Yeah.
There,
you think there
are,
will be?
I mean, you can go team to team. I don't follow the NBA as well as I used to. I don't know of a dominant center in the league right now. I just don't. A guy who can do everything. Score, rebound, block shots. That's what a center is supposed to do. I don't know a guy who's doing that.
Yeah, I don't know. They call Antetokounmpo a baby Shaq, but I mean, he's not a center, obviously.
Who? They call who?
Antetokounmpo from Milwaukee.
Oh, the guy in Milwaukee.
Yeah. Like I said, they call him baby Shaq, but I mean, he's not a center, obviously. But as far as like the dominance, to getting the boards, to getting people out the way, the fact that like, oh, how do we stop this man? I mean, they saying he's the closest to Shaq, but I mean, he's not even close to Shaq, but they say he's the closest to Shaq, I guess.
Yeah, but his game is different.
Yeah, true.
What I have not seen him do, and maybe you have, is play with his back to the basket. That's a game that a lot of guys in this era don't know how to do. They don't know how to play with their back to the basket. I'm sorry?
Is it necessary for them to have that game?
You need a low post game. Absolutely. Yeah, because you know, in a half court offense, you have to understand how to generate offense. And if you know how to get down in the low blocks and put 2 in the hole, you know, that's an easy game. But it's hard to do, and you have to be physical.
Yeah, for sure. So what my question the other day for somebody was, excuse me, what makes Michael Jordan the GOAT? Because if we're saying championship rings, obviously he's not the one with the most championship rings. But then somebody used the argument that he's 6 for 6 in the finals, or his image. Like, what makes him the GOAT? Like, obviously he was good. He got his championship, but he doesn't have the most championships. He doesn't have the most points. So what makes him the GOAT? Because he's like 5th all time, I think, in points.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. I don't know all the stats. All I know is there are very few guys on a team in any era that the opposing team knew he was getting the ball at the end of the game, and he still scored. You know, when you do that, when there's a concerted effort to stop you, and you still do your job, that makes you the best in my book.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, as much as I hate it, Tom Brady, you know, at the when the game is on the line, he makes the right play. He makes the right decision every time. As much as you may dislike him, he's probably the best quarterback of all time. That probably will be his legacy.
For sure. Yeah, because I think he's like what? He's got 6, right? 6 rings.
Boy, I stopped counting, and I don't like to watch him. I'm not a fan, but I have the ultimate respect for him because he's good at what he does.
Yeah, for sure.
He just is.
Yeah. All right. So let's switch gears again. My favorite player is Melo, but I fell in love with watching LeBron's game and seeing what he's doing and seeing him create his thing. How do you feel about LeBron? I mean, I know how you feel about him, but kind of like explain a little bit more.
The first 3 or 4 years in the league, he was surviving on his athletic ability. So he was faster, he jumped higher, he was quicker. So all of those things got him by. Because he didn't go to college, obviously, right?
Right.
So he had on-the-job training. I don't know, and I've watched a good amount of LeBron's games. I don't know if he was ever as mentally tough as we all hoped he was going to be. I think we anointed him the next Michael.
Yeah.
Because of his physical abilities.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was as mentally tough. I'm just not sure. Because, I never saw LeBron, and that doesn't mean he hasn't done it, but I never witnessed him, getting in guys' face, his team, and telling them that, they've got to step up. I can't say that he's ever done that, and maybe he has, and I just haven't witnessed it.
Yeah, I mean they say he does. They just say he does it. He doesn't do it in front of cameras. They say LeBron's very image conscious, or whatever word they tried to use. They say he always tries to make sure his image is good, but they say he doesn't really go in on his players, but he does it off camera, like in the locker rooms and stuff like that.
Yeah, and
I hear that a lot.
And to his credit, if that's what he's doing, that's great because he's there ultimately to make money, right?
Yeah.
And maybe that is his driving force more so than actually winning, is to see what his image is going to be like.
Oh yeah.
So that he's going to be able to sustain him and his heirs for years to come, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's a different athlete when you start trying to compare Michael and Kobe and LeBron, because LeBron, if his first instinct is to protect his image, I don't know that that's the teammate that I want to have.
Yeah. For example, like when J.R. Smith got that rebound, what was that, 2016 or 17 in the finals, and didn't put it back up, and LeBron was real calm about it on camera. Like, yeah, he did his little thing on the court, and then he went to overtime. But some interviews I watched after, they said, like when he got in the locker room, he turned up. You know what I mean? Like, but he turned up out, away from the cameras, and was really going in and hitting and throwing stuff. So, yeah, like you said, if his thing is all about the check and the image, you don't necessarily want that type of player.
No.
Yeah, understand that. Do you think he'll get any more rings? He's at 3.
No.
I think this year was supposed to be his year.
No. I like LeBron, and I really wish he would have stayed in Cleveland.
2010? Why?
You know, his whole trip to Miami, I don't know, it turned him into more of a mercenary.
What do you mean by
And
that?
maybe that's what guys are now, where they're running around, not necessarily trying to create something in the situation that they're in, but jumping to find the best situation in the moment.
Yeah.
I had him going back to Cleveland, I thought was a very good thing to do for the city, for the state of Ohio. And them being able to win the championship there, absolutely. If LeBron steps foot in any part of Ohio, everything's free. Okay, for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
I didn't want him to go to LA. I didn't want him to leave Cleveland.
Are you saying that because, I mean, you lived in Ohio, or you just thought it?
No, I'm saying that because I'm coming from the old school. Loyalty was everything. So when a guy got on a squad, when he got on a team, he stayed there until he retired, and then he was gone.
Yeah. And I think that's, in today's basketball, well, back in the day, a lot of players, basketball was their only check. Am I wrong? Like, that was their only way they were making money was basketball.
No, they had endorsements.
They had endorsements like in the 80s and 90s? Did they have a lot of players or just the stars? Okay. Did it shoe deals, commercials and stuff? Was that big movie roles? No
big movie roles. The shoe deals weren't like they are today.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, to say, I think a lot of players now more so care about their image. Like, I don't want to go play for Charlotte. That's not a top city. Let me go play for Miami because, maybe I can go get a commercial, or maybe I can go get this shoe deal, or, build a brand. You think he could have built the brand and stayed in Cleveland, or you think? I mean, I feel like obviously LA is good for building a brand.
But I don't know what he was. He's been the face of the NBA for years. So what does a move to LA do to his brand?
Well, he's got a movie production company, so he might be wanting to focus on that, and he might need to be in LA for that.
Okay, so if he's focusing on his movie brand, is he practicing his craft?
Yeah, I
see what I mean.
Yeah,
there's a little bit of a distraction there.
Yeah,
and if you're planning on getting to the top of the mountain, you can't have that distraction. That's for after you play.
True.
At least in my opinion.
So even this year, you didn't think he was going to win it? Who was going to beat him? Clippers?
I was expecting Milwaukee to take a step toward beating the Lakers. The West kind of, and the NBA in general, the talent has fallen off.
For sure. I think now they're just getting kids in because they know these kids need money and need a check, and they're just getting a lot of just athletes, not really good basketball players, but people that can jump high and can run fast.
People that put butts in the seat. That's what it's all about. If you sell out the arena, then you're a success.
Yeah, I see that too. Yeah. I think that's the reason why they kind of pushed Zion into the league so fast, because he goes from his AAU and his little Christian school to Duke for 1 year and then straight to the pros. I'm like, is he a good basketball player? Because obviously he's going to bring people to the seats, like you said. He's dunking, he's jumping high, but is he good? You know what I mean? Is he a good player?
Right.
Yeah. So I definitely see that.
It's still, I mean, you know, if there was another guy in the East, is New Orleans in the East or the West? I don't remember.
They're in the West. Yeah.
If there was another center that he went up against in the West who was physical and who was really good, maybe you could say Zion is whatever.
Right.
But I don't know that there's another guy out there.
What about Embiid out of Philly?
Does he play defense?
Not sure. I don't really watch him. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, I mean, you know, in order to be a center, you got to do it all.
Yeah.
You can't just come in, you know, dunk a couple of shots and then take your 15 points and go home.
Right.
You know, you've got a lot of work to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he'll be all right. I think just keep getting him better. I don't know if he needs to lose the weight. I don't know if he's going to keep getting taller because he's still young, so he might get a little bit taller. I don't know. But he's a big boy.
He needs to develop a post game.
He doesn't have one? Have you been able to watch him? I mean, he came back.
When has he developed it? He
know.
Didn't have to use it in high school.
Oh, he was playing them little kids. Of course he did. Yeah.
Right. So he didn't develop it in high school. He wasn't at Duke long enough. So that's what he needs to learn. He's got to go to big man school.
Yeah. For sure. And then switch over back to Milwaukee. I don't think Antetokounmpo will stay there. They were supposed to offer him the Supermax this summer because he has one more year on his contract, and obviously if he signs it, then you know he's going to be on the team for a little bit longer. But if he doesn't sign it, he plays one more season with Milwaukee and he's free agent. So I guess it kind of depends on if he signs that Supermax this summer, if he's going to stay. But I don't think he's going to stay, which is my point. I don't think Milwaukee will be winning anything anytime soon. And I'm on the side of the fence where he might be wanting to try to build his brand, and you're not going to build a brand unless you play for the Green Bay Packers if you're in Wisconsin. But I think he might leave. And there's a few destinations. People are saying he could go to Golden State. They said he wants to go play with his brother in LA. And I even heard another team, but a lot of people think he's going to Golden State. What do you think would happen if he goes to Golden State and Clay and Curry and everybody come back? But I think
I have no idea.
You have no idea?
I don't know anything about this kid other than he's got a very long last name. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah. I think he'll be good in Golden. I think he'll be scarier than KD when KD went to Golden State. Because I don't know, man. Antetokounmpo is a freak of nature. Obviously, KD is good, but he's not, dunking and jumping over people like
KD.
Yeah, KD's not doing all that. KD's gonna cross you up, shoot, or you take it to the hole. But Antetokounmpo, he is a monster. And you can't double team anybody. If he goes to Golden State, you can't double team anybody at all, because as soon as you double team,
the thing I don't worry about having too many guys on the squad is egos, because somebody's got to give something up, right?
Yeah, but Klay Thompson. You think he has ego?
They signed him to how many millions?
I don't know. I think he's at the 150 or something like that.
So he's got an ego.
Yeah.
Curry has an ego.
Draymond, of course, too.
Draymond has a huge ego.
Yeah, and I think they get they have one of the worst records. I think they get one of the top picks this year too in the draft.
Yeah. Don't let people fool you. There are very few guys that make an NBA roster that do not have egos. Very few.
Yeah, I agree. Let's talk about Melo. Like, what do you think? How do you think Melo's story is going to be written out when it's all said and done?
a bust.
Melo a bust? Really?
Yeah.
How come?
They put too much pressure on him.
They as
Too
in
much pressure.
NBA? Or they as in us as the watchers?
They expected him to carry a team, and he was never the guy. He just wasn't. He's a good number 2, but he was never a guy. It's like Barkley. Barkley couldn't carry a team either.
Yeah.
He's
Is Barkley considered a bust or just a player with no ring?
He's the best. He and Malone are probably 2 of the best guys. There's another guy too. What's his name? There's another guy, Bob Lanier. He used to play in Detroit. None of those guys have rings. Great players. None of them got a ring.
Were they playing in Jordan's era, or they just couldn't complete the task?
Barkley was in Jordan's era, obviously. Malone was in Jordan's era, obviously. Bob Lanier was before Mike.
So why wasn't he getting it done? Would he have Magic and Bird was playing at the time or something? He just wasn't getting it done?
Just didn't happen.
Yeah. I see. So who do you put on your top 5 NBA players? Like if you had to create a team, point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center, who will you be? We're gonna sign off soon, so I just want to I want to end with this.
That's tough for me.
Any generation, any era, any player.
Yeah. So I can't. It's tough for me to go back with guys I hadn't seen. Okay. So, I'd probably take Kareem as the best center. He would be the guy. Because in his prime, Kareem was a monster. And he would hit that hook shot, man, it was a thing of beauty. So if you have an opportunity, YouTube and watch that guy. And nobody can do it.
You're taking Kareem over Shaq as a center?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because Kareem could hit free throws.
Yeah, it does make a big difference.
It makes a huge difference. Yeah. I'm going to take Magic at point.
Okay.
Obviously, Michael is my 2.
So now you got your 3 and your 4.
Yeah. My 4 is a little controversial. Dennis Rodman.
For rebound purposes?
Dennis patrolled those boards like nobody else.
Yeah, I heard he had one game, he didn't even score. He was just collecting boards. He probably had a couple games like that.
And he was a defender. He was a defender. I hate to get sentimental, but I probably will at the 3, just because he was the first guy I fell in love with, and that's the Doctor.
Dr. J was a 3?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
What was his game though? I've never really looked at his game. Obviously he's got the good dunks, but like what was he known for outside of dunking and stuff?
That's what he was known for.
Okay.
Yeah.
No threes, no passes, no handles.
No. I watched a good amount of Dr. J, and the only other thing that I remember him doing, he could knock a shot down off the glass from almost anywhere on the court. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so you got Magic at the 1, Michael at the 2, Dr. J at the 3. You said Dennis Rodman at the 4 and Kareem at the 5.
Yeah.
So you got a big team. How tall was Dr. J? Like 6'6", maybe?
6'6".
Yeah. Jordan was 6'6". Magic was like what, 6'8", 6'9"?
6'9".
Rodman wasn't that tall though, was he?
Rodman 6'8".
All right. And then Kareem, you said about 7, little
Yep.
7.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess that'd be a good team. You got Magic at the point, so you're gonna get the passes. You got Jordan scoring. Is he the only scorer? Jordan only scorer on the team outside of your center?
Kareem could score. Irving could score. Magic could score. The only person who doesn't score is Rodman, and that's just because he's grabbing boards and blocking shots and defending the best player on the other team, regardless of the position. He defended the best player on the other team.
Always.
Always.
Is that only when he was in Chicago, or just his whole career?
His whole career. Whoever the best player was, didn't matter how big he was, Dennis was on him.
I see. All right. You're not saying no, Kobe's not in that top 5?
Kobe's not. He's not on that squad. I can't put. He's not going to go above Michael.
Right.
And I told you I was going to go kind of sentimental with Irving at the 3.
Right. Yeah. So I guess my last thing is, do you think the NBA will come back this year, or what's the situation? Or I guess any sport, really.
You know, this is something that I pray we don't ever have to encounter again. If you listen to people like my parents talk, they say that God is displeased with us, and this is a way for us to turn towards Him. You know, I don't know if that's true or not. The NBA should call it done for the season. Hockey, same thing. I don't even know if baseball can play now. You know, it's May and no one's talking about baseball at all.
Right.
Will football be back? You know, that's probably the only thing that has a possibility.
Yeah.
But that's because we've got, 3 months before football starts? 4 months? But the one thing that we all should be concerned about is a vaccine. Because without that, we're going to be sitting at home for a year.
Yeah. Damn. I don't know, man. It's weird not having any sports, though. Like
I agree.
I mean, I've never been through this. You know, I mean, nobody's ever been through any of this, but just to not have, like, playoff basketball is obviously right now, you know, spring games for college football will be going on. You know, your baseball games is going on. I guess, would it be hockey season or no?
Yeah, hockey's in the playoffs right now.
Yeah.
The only time that this has come up is during the World Wars.
Was what, stopping sports and stuff?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the only other time that I'm aware of.
They postponed the Olympics to next year, too. That's weird.
You know, that's...
And that was one of the first things to be postponed, to be moved, was the Olympics.
Yeah, we're definitely in unprecedented times right now.
Yeah. You think if we don't have a vaccine, we are going to sign off soon, but you think if we don't have a vaccine, like, how do you think voting for the president is going to go in November? You think we can vote from home or vote from an app or something?
Well, we won't be able to vote from an app, but I think there will be a significant number of mail-in votes.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I have to fill out my form for the primary so I can get my mail-in ballot.
Yeah. So they already made a decision to people to mail it in?
Yeah, if you're a registered voter, you should have got one of these in the mail.
Oh, I'll check the mail. I just got home today. I'll check the
mail.
No,
I've had this here for a couple of weeks now.
Oh, shoot. Oh, man.
But that was the plan, that everybody was supposed to get one of those in the mail.
I'll definitely check that out. See if I have one. I don't know.
Yeah.
I never really checked the mail. I think well, yeah, I appreciate you coming on with us. We do this every weekend. I usually have the co-hosts, but I was like, let me get my dad on to come on and talk about some Jordan stuff. So this will be up on the YouTube. So if you ever want to watch this later, it'll be up and you can just rerun it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's definitely pretty much it. How many more episodes are left with the Last Dance?
I think it's the 10th episode. So I think there's 4 more to go because there were 2 Sunday. We just haven't watched them yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of them. I kind of want to wait until they all came out and it comes like all collectively. I just sit and just watch the whole thing. I guess is it in order? Is it in order? The episodes are in order?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it kind of flows?
Yeah, do you have HBO or access to HBO?
I don't know. Yeah, we have cable in the house. I just don't have any of the TVs down here plugged in. So if anything, we might have it upstairs.
Okay, there's a documentary that's on HBO that you need to watch.
It's a basketball related or just
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find the name of it real quick. It is about a guy who he was going down the whole sports agent road, and gets entrapped by the FBI for supposedly bribing coaches and players, more so players than coaches, but into attending certain schools.
This is you say he was a sports agent. Did they called him the bag man? Is that what they called him? The bag man?
I think so.
Is that what it is? Like, he has like an opposite bag of money and he kind of talks players into going to different colleges. Is this a different one? Did they call him the bag man or something like that?
No, I don't remember them mentioning that.
Maybe it's a different guy then. He was more of a scout. He was more of a scout than an agent. So
it was a part of it caused Rick Pitino to lose his job at Louisville. I'll find it and send it to you.
Oh yeah. Just let me know. I'll definitely check it out.
There's a documentary on Kareem.
I have to look that up too. Yeah, I'll definitely look it up on YouTube. Some of his highlights and stuff. You know, Chicago Bulls are the only team that's never changed their logo.
Really? I didn't know that.
They've always had the same logo. I looked it up the other day. It was pretty interesting. But I think that's all about branding. I mean, Jordan definitely made the Chicago Bulls relevant. So they might just never change it just to keep that recognition there. Because I don't think the Lakers really never really changed. You know, I mean, when they were in Milwaukee or Minneapolis, they had different stuff.
Yeah, they were the Lakers then too.
Yeah, but they pretty much kept the same thing. All right, so the Instagram's saying we got 2 minutes left. So we're about to sign off. Again, I want to thank you for giving us some of your time to talk today. And like I said, we'll put this up on YouTube and on the webpage, and you can check it out.
Okay.
All right, man. I'll talk to you later.
All right, son.
All right, love you.
Love you too.
All right, peace.